Right. Welcome, everybody. Today we got a very special guest all the way from, I like to say Arkansas, but you probably prefer Arkansas. I'm from
Yeah,
Kansas. So
Arkansas.
we say Arkansas. So the Arkansas
We
River.
were first, though. We were first. So if anything, it should be Kansas up there.
Kansas. Kansas. So, yeah, so today we have Ray Ellen. So prepare to be enlightened as we welcome the maestro of modern real estate, Ray Ellen, to this week's Agent Power Hour. Hailing from the natural state of Arkansas, Ray isn't just a real estate expert. He's a visionary whose innovative strategies and advanced marketing technologies have continually raised the bar in the industry. So welcome, Ray. And
Thank you.
yeah, so I'm really excited. I was on a mastermind with you before, and that's how we got hooked up. And you had a lot of cool stuff on how you utilize AI and everything. And so, how did you get started in using AI to really, enhance your business?
Well, I'm a nerd, so I tend to try and dive into anything that I see. If it's a new technology in real estate, I try to use it and see if it's going to be useful for me as a long-term tool. So back in the day, I got started in real estate as an assistant to a whole bunch of real estate agents in '06. And there were two companies that did these virtual 360 tours. And so I brought those to Arkansas and started using them. And it was really great because you had to have high quality imagery. That was back when you had to like manually stitch the images. And it was really high quality. It was good stuff. And then the real estate market crashed and no one wanted to do that anymore. I got my license in '07, had an amazing 4 or 5 months, and then boom, everything fell apart. But then nobody wanted to spend any money on marketing or anything. So I've always been I've always been one to look at a piece of technology and say, is it worth it? Does it add value? Where's the value? How much value does it add? And I started using AI pretty early, and it wasn't very valuable at the time. I felt like I was more of a testing dummy for everyone doing the research. Like here's what this guy's generating. That's not very good. That's what I felt like. So as it progressed, as it got to 3.5 and then 4, it totally changed and it grew very quickly. I mean, the advancements from the first AI stuff that could, I was an early Jarvis guy and Jarvis was okay. But I still had to edit everything so much and it wasn't natural language. In order for me to get anything out of it, I felt like I had to talk to it in an unnatural way. And so when ChatGPT 3.5 came out, using that really opened my eyes to the possibilities to quickly generate content. And then I started to use it in other parts of my business, like SOPs. And then I started to use it in other parts of my business, like role playing. So it's been an amazing tool, not just for marketing, not just for blog posts, which is usually what people first start to try to use it for, or listing descriptions. But it's been an amazing tool to bounce ideas off of, to use as an assistant or as a business partner. So it's kind of crazy how it all shook out. But I'm an early adopter in stuff. And then as I find something that works, I just start to share that with people.
Can you go into because you have a team, right?
I
Is it
do, yeah.
a local team? Um,
Yes.
okay. And can you kind of go over like your structure, like what employees you have or virtual assistants and stuff, and
Yeah.
how you get kind of an overview of yourself too?
Sure. Yeah. So I used to own my own company. Before that, I was a team leader. So I kind of got funny story. I was a team leader, had a great rocking solid team. In December of 2017, the brokerage I was with said, we no longer want to continue with you in 2018. I was like, why? And they said, well, we're afraid you're going to start your own company and we don't want you to do that while you're here. I was like, fine. I took their advice, started my own company. So I had a brokerage for about 4 years. And that was a different level of headache. It was fun, but I was not in production as much. I was just trying to help my agents, do production. It was different. And then recently partnered with the national brokerage and went back to the team. So last year I restarted my team. We did 60 transactions, just 4 of us. The 3 agents on my team were all brand new. This year we've done about 120 transactions and we just recently added 3 more to the team. So now we have 7, and I have had a virtual assistant as my personal assistant for almost 2 years now. She's amazing. And then we just added, I've had a virtual assistant here locally that was a transaction coordinator, and she did everything virtually. I never saw her. She was never in office. But we just transitioned to a virtual assistant overseas, basically doing the same thing. And basically, so my transaction coordinator, listing input, they're all VAs.
Nice.
So we're hoping to double what we did this year, next year. That's the goal.
Cool. Well, awesome. Now, do you have something like specific things that you want to talk about, or do you want to just have this like a very open mastermind?
Well, yes. I mean, we could be very open. I'm totally fine answering tons and tons of questions about AI. I know the practical application to your specific instance is going to kind of outweigh anything that I have to share. However, I'll throw out a couple of ideas about how I use it. And these are kind of I guess you could say the ideas that I've been most famous for, that when I share, people are like, oh, golly, I didn't know you could do that. One of the things I always try to find, and one of the ways that I guess you could say one of the ways I started figuring out how to use AI is I basically made a list of everything I hate doing. And then I started asking, can AI do that? One of the big things on my list that was stealing a lot of my time personally, and if I get back this time, I can invest it in time off, or I can invest it back in my business, or I can invest it in my family, whatever I want to do. One of the big things I was trying to do every week and failing was meal plan. And so I started asking, can AI take care of my meal planning for me? And the answer has been a resounding yes. Not only can it plan a full week for me, but it can give me the recipes for that week and the grocery list for that week. And it can tell me what the macros are for that week. And so I've been testing it. I lost 10 pounds on the AI meal plan because I was trying to eat healthier and I kept failing at it. And then I kept failing at the meal prep. So, and it doesn't have to be a healthy thing. Like if you love cake and bread, you could tell it to recommend great cakes and great breads. I mean, you don't have to do health. But I was like, I want to eat a little healthier. I don't have time to figure it out. I like the zone diet. I do CrossFit. Zone diet kind of fits with what I need, but it's just hard to do all the calculations and figure out exactly what I need to do. So I asked ChatGPT one day, are you familiar with the zone diet? And it said, yes. I said, well, tell me about it. And it told me all about it. And I was like, okay, create a 7-day meal plan based on the zone diet. And I told a little bit about myself, my current weight, age, and how active I was, because that, if you're on the zone diet, that's important. And then it started recommending it. It started spitting it out. And it was like day 1, you should have scrambled eggs and feta cheese served with half an avocado. And it just started like everything. And then I thought that was great, but it was all in list form. And that's kind of hard for me to follow, my brain. So I was like, can you put that in a table? And it said, yeah. So then it gave me a table with the day, breakfast, lunch, dinner, snacks, and post-workout. And so it was day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4 on the rows. And then it said everything I needed to eat. So I was like, well, gosh, what are the macros? And it added columns for carbs, proteins, fats, and calories. So now I can check and say, well, is this enough or is this not enough for me? Then this was the one that really is like life-changing, because I hate shopping. Even though now we shop online and we click and pick up, it's just tedious to look at what you're trying to eat and then figure out what is in those recipes. So I said, can you create a grocery list for those 7 days? And it said, yeah. And it spit out a grocery list of everything I would need to have or buy. And so then I just checked off what I already had and then went online and ordered it. And then I started looking at some of the meals. I was like, well, I don't really know how to make the exact thing that it's asking me to make. And I don't know the portions to use to get the macros that I need to get. So then I said, could you give me recipes for breakfast, lunch, and dinner for every day? And it was like, yeah. And spit out all the recipes. It's got the ingredients and then it's got the instructions. breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So then I looked at the clock and I'm sitting like at 30 minutes and I've done a full meal plan for a full week with grocery lists and recipes. I print it out. I mean, you could probably just keep it digital, but I like to, I don't like to have electronics around while I'm cooking. I'm a mess. So I printed it out, stuck it in a binder, put in the order, and then just went through the week and meal prepped. Like it was so easy. And I probably got back about 4 hours of time because it just takes so long to look at everything and figure out and calculate what you need to calculate and then to do all the shopping and figure out what you need to do. And it's amazing whenever you do something like this, you figure out exactly how much time you're spending on it. Like I've never tracked how long it took me to meal prep, but I can tell you how much free time I had that weekend was huge. So that's one thing that you can use for personal. And like I said, you don't have to use this for health. You could be like, I just want, a basic meal plan. Just give me something and you can make it as healthy or unhealthy as you want. Now we're getting fancy with it. So I'll tell it, I love, for this week, I want an emphasis on Mexican food. I love Thai food. So I would tell it all these emphasis. Oh, look, it made me do a thumb up. I have to reset my camera for that. That's the FaceTime thing.
Okay. I was gonna ask about
Apple
that too.
has a new thing, like on anything you can do like all the, and then.
Okay. I didn't know.
It's a little FaceTime. It's weird. So,
there it is.
See, she still did too. Yeah. Steph's like, does that really work? It does. So anyway, I got a ton of time back from doing the meal planning and I'm looking for other opportunities just in personal life to where I can enjoy life more because of the assistance that AI has given me. And so now we have like a mixture of different types of foods. Some days are, fish, some days are steak, and it's been amazing. So that's one idea.
Have you gotten into using the GPT builders? That's pretty recent. Do you recommend, doing that? I'm sure you probably have a single thread right now, or we're using a single for that one.
For the meal planning, I have a single thread because I want it to keep up with questions and stuff that I'm asking. Sometimes I'll restart that thread for the week if I feel like it does have like, for some reason, it'll just get lost. There's no real explanation. It'll just lose everything you've said before. And it's hard to kind of recall it. So when that happens, I just save a little prompt on a note. I copy and paste that prompt to reset it. And then bam, I just get right back to it. I like the GPT builders, but I don't think it's necessary for that use case. You could definitely do it and then you could share it with other people, but I'm more into like just figuring out how to use it for me and keeping it as simple as possible.
Okay. Yeah. Steph had a question right when we walked in. Can we hit on that before I forget about it?
Yeah.
Steph?
Oh, I was just asking about Max AI. It's, I guess, kind of similar to Chat GPT, but I've been trying to figure out which one to use. I don't know if it's more of a Chrome extension.
Are you familiar with that, Ray?
maxai.me, is that the one that you're talking about?
Yeah.
So there are Chrome extensions that pull in different AIs. That's one of them. So you can choose to use ChatGPT or Claude or Bard or Bing. I don't know if the new one by Google's in there or not, but basically it's just a plugin. You have to be careful with some of the plugins that are created by other people because they're going to say, hey, use this as a browser plugin, and you use it as a browser plugin. But what you don't know is that it's also tracking your keystrokes and all of the information that you're inputting. And so when you go to your banking website, it's tracking you and it's seeing that you went to your banking website. And so there's a lot of, it's kind of the wild, wild west out there. So whatever you use, make sure it's by a reputable company and make sure that the website you are at in looking at the developer is a legit developer from a legit website. So I don't know if Max is or isn't. I've heard of it, but I haven't ever used it.
Now, besides ChatGPT, It's one of crowd favorite questions. What are your top 5 AIs that you use?
I really
Drive
haven't
and
found a
business.
huge replacement for GPT. I mean, Claude is good. I used Claude more before. So, what, 3 or 4 months ago, you couldn't upload a PDF to ChatGPT,
Mhm.
but you could to Claude. It's CLAUDE. And that was a good program. So I used it to upload PDFs, read PDFs, reference them. I thought that was pretty novel. But then now that ChatGPT has taken over that functionality, I just use ChatGPT mainly. The image generation, I don't really like the Dolly. It's okay, but I much rather use Midjourney. It's a little more complicated, but the results are way, way better.
Yeah, I just
So I
say
like
that
Midjourney for images.
just the past 2 months, like 2 months ago, you couldn't get Dolly to do anything really that's worthwhile. And now
Yeah.
Dolly 3, I'm like, oh, give me a picture of, a couple on a beach. And it's like, boom.
Yeah.
I was like, sweet.
Yeah, I like it. The images, when I tell it to generate a realistic image, shot with a Canon or shot with a DSLR or something like that, the image that it generates is a little bit in the uncanny valley category, just slightly on Dolly. Whereas the images that I get from Midjourney look like legit photos. And I could tell Midjourney to generate an image taken with an iPhone, and it will have the perspective and everything as shot from an iPhone. So I like Midjourney's quality better, but the ease of use being baked into ChatGPT is pretty rad. I mean, I use Dolly every now and then. But
Ray, just a quick question on that, because I've been
sure.
trying to skirt that journey between DALL-E and then switching over to Midjourney. I've been playing with Midjourney. I find DALL-E allows you to do longer, more detailed prompts to kind of get where you want to get to. At the end result's always kind of like a cartoonish, not super realistic or defined situation. Whereas Midjourney, maybe I'm wrong because I'm being ignorant to it, but it just seems like it's very limited in terms of the prompts you can put in. It's very kind of one sentence style, and it's kind of shared in this group of other people that are sharing on the same server, which is very odd if you're trying to create some creative and you see other people kind of watching your conversation. It's just, am I getting that wrong, or is that kind of the setup?
So you can share to the community, but you can also just use a direct message to Midjourney, and you can use direct messaging and then no one else sees it. You can also set up your own server. So I have my own Discord server with Midjourney on it. And so the only people that see that are the people that I invite to my server. So I have, some creative friends of mine, real estate agents, and I share my server with them so that they can see what I'm doing. They share theirs with me so that I can see what they're doing. And then I can borrow from some of their key sentences or phrases. And so that's how we use it.
Hey, Ray,
As far as the detailed or not detailed, in my experience, Midjourney works better with fewer details. If you can tell it to, let's say you wanted to generate an image of, a realistic image of a real estate agent in front of a home. If you go into a ton of detail, a real estate agent wearing a suit coat in front of a, ranch rambler, mid-century modern, blah, 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 blah. And you go into tons of detail, Midjourney is going to spit out something kind of good. But if you just let it do its thing, generate an image of a real estate agent standing in front of a home, you'll be impressed by the quality you get back. So the tighter box that you try to fit Midjourney in, the more wonky some of the results are going to be. Now, that may only be the way. Like, that's the only way I can get exactly what I'm looking for. If that's the case, fine. But whenever you tell Dolly wide open, then you get some real random stuff. But if you're more specific with Dolly, then it works better. So you just kind of have to figure out the nuances between the two. But a lot of times, there's prompt generators that you can use on ChatGPT to generate a prompt for Midjourney. And you can find, just look up Midjourney prompt generator GPT, and there's tons. Little plugin you add to GPT. Sometimes I'll be in these prompt generators trying to get exactly what I'm looking for, go over to Midjourney, keep, putting in different options, and I'm not getting what I'm looking for. I take out like half of the words and then put that in there and get some results that are way more accurate. So I'm liking where Midjourney's at now. I think in the future, if it could start to read those details better or more efficiently, maybe that's where the developers of that would go. But right now it's a real creative, like it wants to be creative. So let it be creative and create something more for you.
Hey, Ray, are
That's
you
awesome.
able to show us quickly like how to set that up in Midjourney on and do your own server?
Actually, there's a guy I can share with you. There's a guy who did it on YouTube that it's like step by step. It's super easy.
Okay, cool.
I couldn't, in order for me to show you how to do it, I would have to go back and watch watch him. Like as soon as I do something like that, I forget all of the information.
Okay. I mean, probably be even better. So
yeah, if you put start Midjourney server into YouTube, that's how I found the guy. But it's pretty phenomenal. Like I was using, I did a quote on Threads for Muhammad Ali, and I wasn't finding a good picture of Muhammad Ali. And so check this out. I went to Midjourney. Oh, I can share my screen. Good. Check that out. So I said a close up black and white of boxer Muhammad Ali in the ring. That's all. And then I used aspect ratio -- AR 1:1. So I wanted a square. And then that's what it generated. And then that was the first shot. But see how short that prompt is? Like I didn't go into tons of detail. I let it be as creative as it wanted to be. I sent this to my dad, and he said, yeah, that would be a tough day going against the ring with him. And then I said, that's fake. It's generated with AI. And my dad was like, what? And then he said, now that I think about it, he does look more muscly than he was in person. So it's just amazing what you can do with the Midjourney and, doing all the image generation, different reasons to generate imagery. We're generating a lot of imagery for guides that we're building for next year. So instead of me going out, like one of the guides that we're building is one for like bee-friendly plants to give to our buyers. Is to buy a house and they're thinking about landscaping, like here's some bee-friendly plants. It's just a little short guide, but I'm not going to go out and take pictures of all these flowers that I'm recommending. And I can't really use someone else's photos of the flowers in a commercial situation. So I'm getting Midjourney to generate images of the flowers, and they're great images. And then I compare it to the real flower, and it's legit. Like that's the actual flower. So it's just amazing what it can do and what it knows.
Now on that one that you just showed us, can everyone see that? Was that like the open server?
No, that was on my, I think that was actually on the DMs with direct message with Midjourney.
Okay.
Yeah. If you don't want to set up your own server, that's the easiest way to have a private image generation. Is just to go up to your direct messages and direct message Midjourney and then start using the bot. Another way that we're using ChatGPT specifically is for HR. So I wanted to, and there's a lot of talk about prompts. I'm just going to say off the top, prompts are overrated in ChatGPT. ChatGPT is a natural language model. And so it's similar to like Midjourney. If you try to put all these boxes around an image you want to create, you're not getting exactly what you want. Same with ChatGPT. If you try to craft this specific perfect prompt, it doesn't work all the time because ChatGPT changes, and you're not going to let ChatGPT do its thing to be as creative as possible. So one of the best ways to start with ChatGPT is to tell it you don't know where to start. So let's say you wanted to hire someone, but you don't know where to start. Just tell it about yourself, and you can literally say, I want to hire someone. Let's say you want to hire an assistant, a marketing assistant. I want to hire a marketing assistant. I have no idea what job I should give them. I know they should be good in social media and also classic forms of marketing. I'm a real estate agent. I do about this much in deals every year. I do about this many transactions. I'm located in this part of the country. I need a job description for this person. I need a list of daily tasks that they would accomplish. I need a hiring, like a hiring ad that would attract this type of person. And I need to know how much to pay them. That's 4 things that you can tell ChatGPT. And what your magical prompt was, I don't know where to start with this. This is what I need. And then let ChatGPT do its thing. Then you can ask clarifying questions. You can make some changes. You can say, oh no, I'm sorry. I don't want them to do any newspaper advertising. They can say, sure, it'll regenerate the thing and take out the newspaper ads. So starting with ChatGPT by saying, I don't know where to start, is probably the best thing you can do to learn how to use ChatGPT better. So then it can generate this list of tasks, this list of jobs that go with that task. It could generate the post or blog that you need to hire that person, that would attract that person, the job board post, description, whatever. And you're getting some price estimates. Check those price estimates with other people that you know in your market, but it's probably pretty close. The times I've done this, it's been close. Then let's say you get a resume. Well, upload your resume and say, based on the description and the job task, does this person look like a good fit? And let ChatGPT read through the PDF and say, yeah, that person looks like a great fit, or no, that person doesn't look like a good fit. Now, you can't take ChatGPT as gospel on this because there are going to be some errors. If the person doesn't have their resume, if they got a ton of graphics and stuff like that, it's going to be more difficult for ChatGPT to get the words off. So you may have to copy and paste the words off of it and send it to them. But if you have 100 applicants, then it could get you down to 20. It could get you down to 10. So I think ChatGPT is going to be used more and more and more in hiring and weeding out people. And this is one thing, if you have a teenager or somebody that's going to start applying for jobs, or if you know a kid in college that's about to get out, they need to make their resume extremely AI friendly. And an easy way to do that is to upload the resume to ChatGPT and ask it if it's AI friendly. Would AI have a hard time reading this attached PDF? What job recommendations would you make for this person? And test it. Because that's going to be the mode going forward, is that people are going to submit resumes. The hirers, they are only going to see the ones that make it through the AI in the future. They're not going to see every resume. So you can use that. You could also use it for hiring if you have, we've all been to the situation where you have some really good applicants, you finally find someone to pick, but there's this other person that wasn't a right fit for that job, but they're really talented. And then you hear all the people on stage and stuff say, well, it's really not about, having the right jobs on your team. It's about having the right people on your team. And you're like, I feel like this guy is a good person to have. I don't know what I should do with them. Upload that resume to ChatGPT and ask, what would this person be best suited for? On my team of, 4 people, and I have a transaction coordinator, I have a marketing person. This person seems really talented. They're not a fit for the TC job they applied for. Where could I put them that would be a fit, and how much would I have to pay them?
Ray, it's pretty funny you say that, because that's exactly what I just did last week. Hired virtual assistants. And before I even did any interviews, I put them in, all 3 applicants there, and they're like, hey, this is what I'm looking for. Who's the best fit? They're like, Michelle. I'm like, okay.
Yes.
And but then also with that, then it's like, okay, but she doesn't have this part, and this person's really strong with this. So I was like, actually, I could use that in my business, because she's like, for 7 years telemarketing, calling for like solar companies and stuff like that. It's like, actually, I could use her in that for keeping up with these internet leads and stuff like that. So now I'm like, okay, I think so I'm pretty sure I'm gonna hire 2 now. Thanks to ChatGPT.
Nice. Well, and that's one of the things, you could use it in development, right? So you could have your current people fill out a personality test or whatever form you want them to fill out, upload it to ChatGPT, and then ask how to better develop these people, right? How can you, that's one of the huge things that's being lost right now with the whole, if you're sports fans and you're seeing everyone enter the transfer portal, like 3,000 people just entered the transfer portal. And these are kids that play on football teams. Back in the day, if you played on a football team, you weren't that good, but the coach had selected you, he would then spend years developing your talent instead of just sitting you on the bench. Now coaches are saying, well, he's not going to be playing for us anymore next year. He didn't really develop much this year. He's not a good fit for us. We're going to replace him with somebody else from the portal. Well, as a business owner, it's not that easy to find good people, or it's not that easy to find people that are willing to work. And so if you have someone willing to work, but maybe they're not as developed as you want, you could ask ChatGPT for ways to develop that person. And so you could use it all throughout the HR process, from the creation of the job to the hiring, to the finding where a person fits, to the development of that person and the future training.
Yeah, another thing that I did also before the interviews and like, had the resumes uploaded, was like, nailing down like, all right, this part of my business, is this person good at this? So I had like customized questions for each person, because I kind of see on the resume, but I kind of want to know, all right, but could they handle this part too? So, and actually got some good answers on that and made the interviews a lot more worthwhile.
I love the custom question idea.
Yeah. Steph?
Hey, I'm still, newer to the Chat GPT, but like whenever you're doing like your meal plans and your business and all that, do you always start like new conversations, like
I do.
or new thread
Um,
lines, or anytime you're talking about something different?
So there is something you can do to like input your information into ChatGPT so it kind of has a base from what you're talking from. So when you're on ChatGPT, you'll see yourself in the little bottom left. You just click on your head, and then there's something called custom instructions. Click on custom instructions, and you could tell it, I'm a real estate agent. This is about my team. This is how I want you to respond. You could fill in those custom instructions. And then every conversation you start, it'll take into account those custom instructions. Now I use it for a ton of different stuff. So I don't have any custom instructions because I got tired of typing, ignore the custom instructions, and then telling it to do something that I wanted it to do, because I'm always testing it for stuff. But if you're basically just using it for your real estate business and personal, then I would totally fill out those custom instructions, tell it everything you want it to remember. You can tell it the diets you're on, you can tell it the food allergies, you can tell it all kinds of stuff. And then go to ChatGPT and just use it as normal, and it will take into account your custom instructions. Then every single conversation you start, it will remember that. The interesting thing about the panel on the left side of ChatGPT, I used to use it as like a project. Like I have this project coming up. I'm just going to use this thread for this project. Maybe it was, doing a marketing piece or something like that. I've changed how I use that now to have agents that are specific to my need. So let's say I wanted to shoot a YouTube video and I wanted the perfect language or what to use. I wanted SEO. I also wanted it to know I'm a real estate agent, blah, blah, blah. So I've made what I call the YouTube agent. And anytime I'm doing a YouTube video, it has all of the instructions in all of my previous conversations on what I'm looking for, my style, all that stuff. So now I can just take transcripts of like the top 5 YouTube videos that are in my area, and I can put it on there, and I'll say, hey, develop 5 videos for me based on these topics. And because it's been working with me so long in that chat, it will do that for me, and I can use it for that. So I use mine mainly for like my show. I have a podcast every Wednesday that just is about real estate news. And so we use it to summarize some of the big news stories, or quarterly reports is like, it steals my soul to go through them. So I upload the quarterly reports for companies into it, and then we do a quick analysis on it, and it spits out a little paragraph about the company and where they're at. So that makes it super easy for me to have those stories ready. But I use that. That's called the show that I have is This Week in Real Estate, T-Wire. So it's called T-Wire Agent. And it knows when I give it an article, it knows exactly what to do because it does the same thing every time.
Now, this podcast, is it something you just upload on Spotify? Do you have guests come on, or where can we find that?
Yeah, if you search This Week in Real Estate and my name, Ray Ellen, you should see most of the listeners that we have are audio only, but we do go live on YouTube. It's broadcast live on YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, Clubhouse. So we actually have a Clubhouse room that starts too, so people can join on Clubhouse and just like add their voice to the podcast. So I just cover the basic, real estate news stories, everything that's happening during the week that people need to know. We try to keep it about an hour. Usually it stays about an hour. But yeah, guests rotate on and off of it. I started like 5 years ago. It's the longest running real estate news show. Yeah. It's not always worked out, but it's been fun.
Hey, Ray, I got a question about, so you used to work in the Jasper environment. What was your opinion of Jasper as a tool? And have you, moved away from it? Do you still use it as a back end and just use ChatGPT to add to it? How do you use that now?
So 4 months after I started using ChatGPT, I sent Jasper the cancellation notice personally. It was, I actually went back and started trying to use it again. And I got so frustrated because it wasn't a natural language model anymore. And I was having to type or ask things that were unnatural in order to get it to spit out what I wanted. And then I could put that same prompt or even just a regular sentence into ChatGPT and get something far better. So I liked the outputs on ChatGPT, but more importantly, my input was far more natural in ChatGPT, and that sped up my workflow.
So
I'm totally off of Jasper now.
yeah, I used to be using Hey Friday, which is like a Jasper competitor. I think it was just a little cheaper is why I got it. Yeah, but once ChatGPT came out, I immediately canceled it. What are like Jasper like and those companies, what are their game plan now with ChatGPT like to stay in business or how are they going to differentiate themselves, you know?
It's going to be difficult. I mean, Google did a really good job with Gemini. It was just released, I guess, yesterday or the day before. If you looked at what it was doing, basically interacting with someone who was using a camera, and they had a camera pointed down to the desk and they were drawing something, and Gemini would interact with it as they were drawing something, or they would put something there, they'd put a map there. So that's beyond the current capabilities of ChatGPT. So those companies pretty much have to try to develop faster and go beyond. So they're still going beyond. Like if ChatGPT now can upload documents, can analyze documents, I think things like Jasper may be better to pivot to where they figure out easy ways to integrate GPT into a website, or an easy way to integrate ChatGPT into an email situation where you can more quickly come up with emails to send clients, or some kind of system that can be used to where you could say, I want an email that goes out to all these clients individually about this one topic. And so you send that to, the new Jasper thing living in your inbox, and it changes every single email based on previous conversations. Or those are the kinds of ideas that I think those companies are going to have, unless they can figure out a way to push their AI past where GPT currently is. Because if they can't, GPT is cheap enough just to use.
Yeah, because I find with Jasper, what I was doing, it was kind of using it to nurture different guides and scripts and blog pieces. So I almost used it almost like a word processing area in the beginning, and then ChatGPT started to fill in the holes. And now I find I'm only using it as a catch-all to put my ChatGPT outputs into some format. And so I'm like, why am I doing this? Like I just use Google Docs for this and figure it out. Have you seen any best practices that you're using from pulling ChatGPT? If you're working on a larger file, are you manipulating that information somewhere else, or do you just keep it in the same conversation thread to build out a guide or a blog?
So one of the ways we're using it is for SOPs in my business. So we are rewriting all of the SOPs. I'm uploading what I have to GPT, asking it to edit it and adding information to it. And then we take that and put it into a Google Doc, and then it just lives on that Google Doc until I save it as a PDF. Sometimes if it needs graphics, like some of the guides may need additional graphics, we'll just stick it into Canva. It becomes a little tedious to kind of break up some of the information because you have a nice flow. And now I'm sticking pieces of this content here, pieces of the content there. It's a little tedious. There's no perfect way, in my opinion, to do that. Even if there was a button that I could hit like auto format, I probably wouldn't be happy with the format. I'd probably want to do something different or change something. So we're relegated to that currently. My assistant, she's the one that takes that, lays it out, formats it, and then puts up with my opinions on how she formatted it. So it's just, I think a lot of that is like personal preference. But for the documentation, like the pieces of our business and what we call the operating manual, that is just a bunch of Google Drive docs.
You said you're pretty, well, you have a podcast going into real estate news and stuff. What are kind of some future developments that you've seen like on AI for real estate that you're kind of most excited about?
Well, one of the first uses that we found for AI was blog post. It could generate blog post on a specific topic, area, or neighborhood, as long as it had some of the background information. So we would upload some of the previous background information or collect it and then give it to it, and then ask it to generate a blog post. We're doing a series right now because I want to write off all of my golf expenses. We're doing a series right now on all the golf courses in the area, and what memberships you have to have, where to play them, how it plays. And so over the next year, I'll be playing a lot of golf, filming it, and using ChatGPT to write posts about it, and basically catch pages on our website for golfers who are moving to the area. You want to know everything about golf? Here's everything. We've reviewed it. We've played the courses. You know, here's our notes on it. And then basically creating a golf guide from it. So that was great. And we started to generate all this stuff. And then I think I got to like 30 or 40 different posts. And I realized that I was very quickly generating and then very slowly editing. Like the more posts I would generate, the more time I would have to spend now editing all of those posts.
Mhm.
The more time I would have to spend now laying out those posts. When I write it directly to the post. And I'm a fair writer. I love writing. So I can write pretty quickly and then I can write it right on the post. So if I'm using ChatGPT to generate the post and then lay it out, I'm still doing a lot of editing. So I think the big jumps in ChatGPT, like one of the things we did recently was to upload a bunch of my previous writing, and then we asked it to write like me, and it got pretty close. But the biggest jump will be when you don't have to edit it, when it has the most up-to-date information, when I can rely on that information and know that it's not making up stuff, then I think that's where the developments are that are going to be huge for real estate agents. There's for instance, there was an attorney. I don't know if y'all heard this story. There was an attorney that used ChatGPT for case law, got in trouble with the judge because the judge couldn't find the case law. The attorney doubled down and said, no, we did all this research. It's there. Then the judge figures out that it was all generated through AI, calls in the attorney and the whole firm, and they got a talking to. I think there were some that were kicked off perhaps the bar, but you can't, if you use the wrong word in your prompt, like imagine you're a real estate agent, blah, 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 and you have this whole prompt, because you said the word imagine, everything after that could potentially be 100% fake. So you have to verify everything that it outputs. And once it gives you like the option to like, I just want only truth or make up whatever you want, like those kind of very clear operating system options, then I think you're going to have huge leaps forward with AI.
Kind of funny. So one way that I've been using AI is so I've spent thousands and thousands of dollars on lawyers, and I've been having to take their demand letters or drafts and like send it through ChatGPT. I'm like, hey, do these numbers add up? Like, no, they don't. I checked them, like, oh. And then so basically I'm doing all this work and paying fucking nothing. So so 2 weeks ago I filed my own lawsuit for jury trial and everything. So I'm just gonna say apparently what it's called. So I've just got fucking tired of it. It's like, you know what? No way that ChatGPT is going to be more incompetent than lawyers. So fuck this. This is what I'm doing. So yeah. So should be interesting. I'll let you guys know how it goes. Maybe we'll have maybe I should do just like a whole content piece of the process and everything.
Yes.
Because like,
Yes.
because I only had like one day like to do, because this is like 500 miles away where I had to file the lawsuit. So I only had like 5 hours to figure out all the stuff that I need to put to file a lawsuit, where to go and everything else. And ChatGPT was a huge help on that. So I got my whole petition letter done, and then included the demand letter and different steps, which, you know, they don't like telling you what you're supposed to do because they want you to have a lawyer, but lawyers are incompetent. So so that's what I'm doing. And so hopefully I get,
that's cool. You should definitely journey that, like video that whole journey. Like, here's what we did, waiting to see what the judge says. And that would be rad. I'd follow along with that. And at the end, put together a reel about it. That'd be sweet. You don't want to do it now though, because then the other guy might start using ChatGPT to fight you on it.
Go ahead.
The battle of the AIs.
Ahead. No, I just figured, it's like, you know what? I'm tired of spending all this money. And so if I can, you know, even get some money off of it, back from this guy, then, you know, golden. If not, at least I'm not out like more, you know, another $30K for lawyers to do a jury trial. So.
Yeah. It's a different way of content generation. It's still content. A favorite way that I like to generate content is if I want to put out a pretty meaningful post, but I don't have the time to write the post, I will use a thread that I have for ChatGPT that knows how I write my Instagram post. It kind of knows who I am. It knows my history. And I will tell it about the photo that I'm going to use and then what I want the caption to be about. and it can write something that's pretty, like most of the time that I spend writing something will be more meaningful. Like I don't just put out like stupid stuff normally. I don't put out a ton of funny stuff at all. And so when I'm writing a long form post, it's usually like a more heartfelt, meaningful post. Well, it wrote one for me fairly recently on, it'd been a year since I, transitioned and where I am now, what we're looking to do and the growth. And I told it about the shirt I was going to wear. And I just gave it all the details. And I said, write this post. And it was one of my most liked posts, and a ton of people commented on it. I got a lot of DMs from it, people talking about it. And ChatGPT wrote the whole thing. But it wrote the whole thing knowing how I write and taking into account my initial prompt, what I told it. Like I want it to be meaningful. I want it to be thankful for people that have helped me get this far. I wanted it to be, so I couldn't just say, write me a meaningful post. I had to tell it like my heart behind it. And then it translated that into some language that was very similar to what I would use. So I love it to develop like content, specific content pieces. And I think I only edited like 2 words in the whole thing. It was great. But I also love it to develop a content plan. And this is, I think, a real underutilized way to use ChatGPT. Let's say you want to get better at Instagram. You're not really sure where to start. Then that's a great place, put it in there. I'm not sure where to start. I want an Instagram plan. I'm a real estate agent. I sell this many houses. This is who I am. And then you say, I want like 3 photo posts, 1 carousel post, and 1 video post every week. And what should I do? And then it will recommend on Monday, you should post this. On Tuesday, you should post this. On Wednesday, you should post this. It basically give you the content plan. You could also tell it to include captions and hashtags you should use. And it will tell you what captions to use that would increase engagement, all that stuff. One of the things that it told me to do, because it's in our plan, is to do these video walkthroughs where we're given a quick tour of a home. And it said I should post those on Sunday. And I traditionally don't like posting videos on Sunday because I don't feel like they get a lot of views on Sunday. And ChatGPT, I asked it, why should I post this on Sunday? And they said, because the mind of the buyer is thinking about a tour on Sunday, because a lot of people go to open houses in our market on Sunday. So if buyers are thinking about home tours, then posting a video with a home tour is going to connect with the buyer in a way that another video or another post wouldn't. Like, okay, that was smart. Yeah. So now we love posting home tours and video walkthroughs on Sunday because that's a lot of buyers. That's kind of what they're thinking about. So but it developed a full content plan for a week. And then I could say, well, what's the next week? What's the next week? What's the next week? And just keep that thread going. It'll tell me the types of photos I should use. It told me I should use a picture of a kitchen or a bathroom and then talk about remodeling and where you get the most money out and all this stuff. It gave me the context of the post. Well, if I didn't have, let's say I didn't have a listing, didn't have a kitchen, now I could go to Midjourney and tell Midjourney to generate an image of a realistic looking kitchen and a model home. And I could tell it the size and type of model home. And then boom, now I have a realistic looking kitchen image to go along with a post about a kitchen remodel.
Nice. So
that's a lot of real estate from the chair.
Yeah. I have a question.
Yeah.
I have
Go
a
for it,
quick
Kate.
question. You caught my attention and I didn't quite hear exactly what you told it to say when it said about the carousels and stuff. What was the beginning of that? Do you remember?
Yeah. So tell it a little bit about yourself.
Right.
And then ask it for a content plan for the week.
Content plan. Okay.
Yeah. I need a content plan for a week. I need to know what to post and when. And then you can tell it whatever your mix is. If you do more video and love doing a video, then you would tell it to do more video. But I just said 3 photo posts, 1 carousel, and 1 video per week. What should I post and when? And then it gave me the ideas.
Thank you. Mm-hmm. Very interesting. Very interesting. And I'm old, but I love all this stuff.
Yeah, we've got a little bit of time left. Anyone else have some questions for Ray?
Ray, what would you say? I mean, this has been a lot of good information, so I appreciate that. What would you say for an actionable item from somebody that's watching this or watching this live or watching it later? What would you say would be one actionable item for you to do after watching this whole video?
That's a good question. I would say if you've never signed up for ChatGPT, that's step 1. sign up, get a membership, try to get on ChatGPT 4. I think right now you have to be invited. So at least get on ChatGPT 3.5. Start using it. And when you start using it, just talk to it naturally. If you've been using ChatGPT and you're kind of intimidated about what to say, then go to ChatGPT, start a new conversation, and tell it you don't know what to say. One of the ways that I got really good at developing the SOPs for my business using ChatGPT is that I asked ChatGPT how to use it to develop SOPs for my business. So I went on there and said, I hate doing SOPs, standard operating procedures. I'm a creative. I hate doing that. I need your help to do it. What information do you need from me to develop an SOP for door knocking? What information do you need from me to develop an SOP around answering the telephone? Like there's all these things that we should have in our operating systems that if we don't have in our operating systems and somebody breaks it and like, you know, you want to get rid of them, it's hard to point and say, well, you didn't do this right if you don't have that written down somewhere. And it's hard for new people to come on and say, what should I do if you don't have that written down somewhere? So we need to be writing all this stuff down. And if you're not, use ChatGPT to get it down. If you don't know how, ask ChatGPT, how can I use you for blank? That question has been super eye-opening for me. I think it was when I asked it, can you do a meal plan? And it was like, yeah. Do you know about this diet? And it was like, yeah. I was like, I'm going to change how I talk to this thing. That was a real eye-opening moment. I was like, I'm not talking to this right. I keep trying to use it like Google. It's not Google.
Right.
It's conversational. I would use it also.
I just changed brokerages and I was like, oh my gosh, there's so many things I need to remember. Please give me a checklist in priority order of what I need to do to specifically like change all my, everywhere where
Yeah.
do I need to change. And it just bam, 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 right away. It was awesome.
Yeah. It's great for that kind of stuff. And just, you're using it almost like a brainstorming session or someone else to bounce ideas off of, that's a real fun way to use it. Like I had this idea, we're doing a banner in a ballpark. It's our first time to do a banner in a ballpark. So I have this conversation going with ChatGPT about how to get people to look at the banner and be like, I need to call Ray, or I need to scan the QR code. Like, what can I use? And so I'm going back and forth about the location and where the banner is. And I finally now know that it's going to be in right field. And, it's in a spot where people are going to drive by and see it. So I'm working with ChatGPT to develop the best possible message for this banner to get people to engage with it. And that's something that, I could have that conversation. I could call a banner expert, but it is a banner expert. And when I call the banner expert, I might get 15 minutes with the banner expert to talk about what I should put on the banner. And we may have a pretty good call and some ideas. But then if I want to go back to that guy, I may have to pay him or I may have to order from him. But with ChatGPT, I can return to that conversation after I've had time to think about it, and it knows where it left off. And that's one of the coolest parts
and it's
about
like the banner
brainstorming.
guy's the expert in making the banner, but really a marketing person is
Yep.
the expert on where to put it, right? So
Yeah.
there's where ChatGPT takes over.
Yep.
New best friend.
What's that conversation look like for you, Ray? Because that's something I've not done it yet, but that's something I've been looking at doing just for ads in general, right? Like it was funny. I was listening to Simon Sinek the other day, and it was he helped a homeless woman, and he said he changed the message on her deal, and it made she made $30 a day, and of sitting there begging for money kind of thing. And he said he changed the message on her thing on her sign and made $40 in 2 hours, and then she left. But ultimately, she doubled. She made her money in a matter of 2 hours versus that. But it was all about messaging. So anyway, long story long, what does that conversation look like for you with ChatGPT, and how you get engagement on your banner and stuff that way?
So for any marketing piece that I'm trying to do or any marketing idea that I have, I usually start by telling it what I want to do and what information it needs. So I want to build a banner that's really effective, has high engagement. What information do you need from me? It will tell you like who's the audience, how long are they going to be there? It'll tell you all these questions to ask. So the number one thing you could do is ask it what questions it needs me to answer. And if you've ever been in a coaching session, there's the phrase like, I don't know what I don't know. That's basically what you're saying is I don't know what I should know. So tell me what I should know. And then it will tell you what you need to tell it in order to get the best results. It may ask you what the mode or tone is. It may ask you about your brand if you don't have that in your custom instructions. It'll ask you about your brand identity, all kinds of questions. So the number one thing I'm doing is starting the conversation with, this is what I want to do. What do you need from me to execute? And then I answer those questions. Then I usually go back and forth with it about, that kind of fits or that doesn't fit. I've also, instead of asking for one result, I've started asking for 10 results or 20 results because it can generate additional results without any extra pain on it. So instead of being satisfied with the one, like here's one idea, I'll say, give me 10 ideas. Then I'll ask which of these ideas follow the industry best practices the most? Which of these ideas follow the verbiage from Simon Sinek? Which of these ideas? And so then you could ask it to rewrite them. If you like Phil Jones, you could ask it to write similar to what Phil Jones would write. And if it doesn't know, there's some people you're going to ask it to imitate and it may not know. If you have any kind of PDF or long form with objections or scripts or anything like that, you can upload it so then it has that information. So I think it's only up to date. On some things, it's only up to date as far as April 2023. Earlier, it was like January 2023. I think now it's April. Well, here, I'll ask real quick. What is your most up-to-date info? April 2023. So fast. So yeah, so it's up to date as far as April 2023. It still may not know something real niche, but if it can get close, then it can help. And if you can upload the information, then it can help.
That's awesome, Ray. Yeah, so much good stuff on here. A lot of time-saving strategies that definitely going to implement and use. So I actually wrote a bunch of notes like, oh yeah, I should just ask it for this. So that's I really appreciate that. Great call. Two-part question. Where can people follow you? What's the best way to check out your insights? And two, any final words of wisdom?
Yeah, you can follow me on Instagram. That's probably the best place to catch me. It's Ray Zorback, Rayzorback, because I am an Arkansas Razorback fan. So follow me there. Feel free to send me a DM. If you use ChatGPT or any of the AIs, I'd love to know how you're using it. And if you watch this, send me a DMs with telling me that you watched it here so I could kind of connect our conversation that we're having here to your account. Words of wisdom would be don't overthink it. Let it overthink for you. And you just ask it stuff, because I think that really started to change how I use specifically the conversational AI, the natural language models. And because of that change, I'm getting so much more success from the outputs that is usable and ready. So don't think of it like Google. Don't try to, buy someone's, 40,000 prompts that you can use in your business. That's all bollocks. Just talk to it like a person and see what results you get.
Awesome stuff, man. Hey, thank you so much again for coming. And have everyone go crush this
Very
week.
Good. Very good. Hey, James, could you drop the link to this so I can add it to my calendar? I came over from Louis